When we are working, I often tell people there's you, me, and your nervous system. When you desire to accomplish a task in everyday life, from cleaning your car to trimming your bonsai, your nervous system processes your intention and unconsciously sequences the movement patterns required for the task. Your nervous system makes an algorithm of the task, and we call this a habit. Like the function button on a computer, your nervous system combines multiple movement steps under one command for efficiency. The steps to achieve the goal are grouped. As an example, I wear my glasses every day, but one day I decided to see what it would be like if I went without them. At the end of the day, I went to wash my face and automatically grabbed at my eye level for nothing. My glasses weren't there. Included in the sequence to wash my face was a subcategory of steps to take off my glasses. If I were to get laser surgery and no longer wore glasses, that sequence, that habit of removing my glasses before I wash my face, would be taken out of the algorithm sooner or later. And it may pop back in if I were stressed or upset. We have habits of actions, like the one I just described, and patterns of holding. Mr. Burns from The Simpsons is a great model to showcase holding patterns, hunched shoulders and an extreme forward head posture. Often these holding patterns are out of our awareness or unconscious. As an example, often when people rest on my treatment table, they rest on their backs and I bring their awareness to the direction their toes are pointing. For some, there is a belief or some sort of misguided understanding that their legs should be rigidly straight and their toes pointing up to the ceiling. When I ask them if there is anything they could release, any part of their bodies, they often let their legs flop out to the side. For others, they are truly at what they understand to be a resting position. Their toes are pointing straight up to the ceiling, which takes a modicum of muscular contraction in your inner thighs and the front of your thighs, your quadriceps. But they have been holding these muscles in this shortened position for so long that their brain no longer pays attention to the sensation of the contraction. It has moved to a part of their brain called subcortical, an unconscious part of our brain that we don't have access to. Our desire is to bring the unconscious ways in which we move and rest into our awareness and decide if these patterns still do for us the same thing we thought they did for us when we put them in, still serve us. To do this, we explore slow movement sequences, paying close attention, and all of a sudden we recognize that we no longer need the extra steps or effort to complete a task, much like my recognizing I didn't need to reach for my glasses when I wash my face. The other way we work is to slowly progress through a range of motion and stop at the first moment we feel resistance. Normally at this point, we might keep going and stretching, intensifying the sensation until it becomes painful. But having a conversation with your nervous system includes stopping at this first point and waiting for your nervous system to identify if it needs to keep holding at this point in the range, or if it can release because the need is no longer there. For example, you might have sprained your ankle, and to avoid the pain, you tightened many of the muscles around your ankle to guard it. Later, you're holding even though the ankle has healed. The guarding becomes habitual and unconscious. Now, in this present moment, your brain can actually sense the lack of need to continue to hold and releases. Often the release comes in increments, with you discovering new releases with each small barrier acknowledged and dealt with. This, of course, is very different from stretching, where you take up an overly tightened muscle, don't release it at all, and ask it to go farther, often pulling on tendinous attachments instead of getting neural releases in the belly of the muscle where it's needed. Sometimes a first barrier feels like what some people might call a stretch. It is the first moment that something is being asked of the tissue that doesn't come easily. It is like finding the first knot in a necklace that you're running between your fingers, a subtle change in texture. Instead of pulling to straighten the knot in the necklace, we unknot it. Your nervous system can gradually figure out, just with sensory information, not mental body knowing, how to allow the held contractile muscle bundles to release. You and your nervous system take time, you communicate slowly and delicately. then the stretching sensation is gone and you have further range, or you go to the next barrier, which is treated the same.